Okay, that's done. So we're live there, and we just have to sort out Raphael when he comes back in here.
I think you better replay the what they call it, disclaimer, if you just started those two. Yeah.
Sure. Let me share the screen with the workshop there, and we'll start with the disclaimer. I'll skip the video, and we'll go right into the introduction video and then the workshop. Okay?
Yeah. Oh, good.
Okay, very good.
Hey, Rick, just to let you know that I'm here. So,
yeah, let me see if the interpretation will be happy. Yeah, just 1 second here. I'll have to get this. Where? Portuguese. Update. You're now interpreter. And allow the record files. Okay, we're all set there. Let's begin the workshop here. And let me play the disclaimer.
Disclaimer. The information and education material contained herein is meant to promote the general understanding and dialogue of GANs processing. Such information is not meant or intended to serve as a substitute for a healthcare professional's clinical training, experience, or judgment. For patients and individuals, such information is not to be a substitute for professional medical, therapeutic, or healthcare advice or counseling. For medical issues or concerns, including decisions about medications and other treatments, readers, viewers, listeners should always consult their physician or, in serious cases, seek immediate assistance from emergency personnel. Prescription information, procedures, and use of medical devices information should be undertaken only by properly trained and certified medical personnel. We specifically disclaim any warranties, express or implied, including implied warranties of merchantability or fitness for a particular purpose. Such information is provided, as is, and is believed to be accurate at the time of its publishing, but it is the viewer's job to evaluate the accuracy of any information found in this presentation. Every case presented is of their own experience, applied by themselves for themselves, and it applies to their case only. Every person experiencing health problems should seek professional medical advice and consult their course of treatment with a doctor. The processes of plasma balancing described herein are a natural process which supports the body but does not replace medical advice or therapies one is already subject to.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 540th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, May 30th, 2024. This is a broadcast of the Keshe Foundation, Spaceship Institute, Education Department, and part of the public teachings in English. My name's Rick Crammond, and I will be host today. I apologize for our late start. I had a incident where I fell asleep and my alarm didn't wake me up. And I apologize to Mr. Keshe and everyone here. Probably added some confusion, but we're on track and ready to go here. Mr. Keshe, are you ready to begin today's workshop?
Yes, thank you very much. It's the first time you've been late in 10 years.
First time in 10 years, isn't it? I'll never live it down either.
I'll be late, but I'm going to be late the first time. Good morning, good day to you, as usual, wherever and whenever you listen to this series of knowledge seekers from Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. We welcome you back to this series of knowledge seekers programs. And we try to keep to the same track and the same process as the teaching has been going. The intro of today has brought us knowledge which extends to the knowledge of the past few weeks and especially last week. Some knowledge seekers asked me, can you re-explain? It was too complicated to understand last week's session. It's not that complicated. It's very simple. You have a physical body, which is your neurosystem connected. Without the neurosystem, doesn't matter if it's a blood, the system doesn't work. But this neurosystem, in conjunction with the blood, gives the dimension of physicality. But the whole dimension of the control of the body of the man is a field control, which is the emotion. Nerve system connects the physical part. The emotion in the dynamic field creates that interaction, which how each one connects to the structure and to the soul. In a way, our physical body created out of interaction of the blood flow and neurosystem cannot operate if it has no emotion. If the line of creation of emotion is touched and disturbed, or it does not in a way collaborate with the totality of the fields of the body of the man. And then you understand how emotion is important. And at the same time, each side of the body of the man creates magnetic field emotion in its own half, because our body is in two halves. But the neurosystem connection comes from the other side. So the two sides of the emotion and the physicality have to coordinate, have to be one for the physicality to work perfectly. And then at the same time, in the two halves, two emotion sides, to interact with each other, they interact with the soul of the man. In a way, in trying to communicate the left side of the emotion to the right side of the emotion, as its field dimension, it interacts with the field dimension, which is the soul of the man itself. Now you understand how your soul is connected to your emotion, and how you have emotion the same in the soul of the man. That's the only way he can interact. If he possesses the same, if it is of the same value, if it's the same strength. And then you understand how our soul is dictated, the strength of our soul is dictated, the life of our soul dictated by the interaction of the emotion. And how man's life in a space can be controlled, can be in a way manipulated by the field strength of the emotion of the physicality or emotion of the soul, because that is what it gives the dimension of the manifestation at the end of the transmutation. When you arrive, the field of the soul interacts with the environment, but has no control over the physicality side. So that emotion comes to gives a dimension of physicality. So your emotion in your soul by extending to the physicality, dictates the interaction of the physicality with this environment. And this is what we need to understand. But the other point, as I referred to in the end of the teaching of last week, more or less, was that what we see as the nitrogen, which is N14, and what we see as a carbon 14, is the link of the amino acid, the dimension of physicality, to the soul of the man, to the cosmic rays, to the universe. And at the point of life, when we separate the energy pack from the physicality, the soul of the man finds its way through that carbon 14 connection to where to go to. It's not that accidentally finds its way, it's already predestined where to go. Where the carbon 14 energy level as a nitrogen of the amino acid has no interaction anymore. It's a physical dimension energy in a matter state of the gravitational magnetic field and the inertia of the planet. And then now, if you understand this, you understand your soul at a point of departure through the connection through cosmic rays, through the carbon 14, where you receive the energies from to elevate the soul, finds its path to the point where it finds its position. In a way, you travel back to where you came in, but with a new position of the balance of the fields of your soul. As I always said, 80% of the food of the man, energy of the man, comes from his environment, which the environment is not only the gravitational magnetic field of this planet, partially is connected to universal cosmic rays, which we absorb. And now we understand where we got it from. We go back to what links up, what strengthens up to the carbon 14 and the amino acid of the body of the man, which is the nitrogen on the same level, which in interaction with the carbon itself, as we know in the body of the man in a cosmic condition, creates the condition of life. Not only on this planet, but the position of the soul of the man in another dimension, when the physicality cannot nourish, cannot give anymore to the whole structure. And then this finishes with what we call the hypocrisy of prophecy, the hypocrisy of religions, and the hypocrisy of what we call the theology. Because there is no theory, there is no theology in it, because that was the theory of life, which found its way to the word of theology. Because now we know the root, there is reality, and theology has no room, because there is no theory. Now we know the facts, the process. We can transmute ourselves and manifest ourselves at a point in a time and a place. We do it in a time of sleep. When I was listening to this intro, and many times I've listened to this intro, it comes to me, we make a disclaimer about the health and the wellness. Would we soon have to put a second disclaimer about theology and religions? That the religious people, what we say is there, it doesn't touch you, it's for man to investigate. As Baha'u'llah said, independent investigation of the truth. We deny the truth, but it's upon us, it's with us. Is there a room for any more theory of life, of the creator, we call it theology? Or now we know the facts, we live by the rules of what we know. Up to now was a myth, now is a fact. We know how we connect to the universe, how we connect to our creator, and how the whole process comes. Do we need intermediaries? Or having an intermediary in whatever condition, we change it when we go to planet Zeus, to another prophet on the Zeus, and then another prophet on another planet, and we have many religions, depends where we are, which planet we are in. But unfortunately, there are no prophets in those dimensions. Now you understand how the emotion of the man, through the amino acid connection to the universal energy, through carbon 14, converts itself back to feed, to connect to the physicality of the man in carbon-12 and amino acid. In a way, the nitrogen in the body of the man is a connector of the man physical dimension, storer of the fields of the carbon-14 and carbon-12 at the same time. Is the liver of the amino acid, but it gets, as the liver does, vitamin C, vitamin D, calcium, everything is stored in it. In the dimension of magnetic fields and in the plasma condition of the body of the man, the nitrogen is the same. It stores the energy which is needed for amino acid, which connects through carbon-12, and at the same time it stores the energy from carbon-14, which connects to the universal energy. Now you understand how important the nitrogen is and why even in agriculture we have problems with it. Because the scientists have not understood the concept, have not understood the principle of the working of the universe. Is that transformer, is that translator, is that system which allows one to the other and it stores when it's needed. If the scientists of the man understand the process, understand the systematic work of the body of the man, then man understands it's very easy to live in both dimensions. You have the both reserves in the nitrogen, in the amino acid of the man, in every single cell to transmute between the physical side through carbon-12 or through the universal energy through carbon-14, because this is the principle, the fundamental operation of the universal life. Where consciousness exists, where emotion exists, and that emotion is connected through that carbon-14 strength, through the, what we call the nitrogen, to create every cell of the body of the man, and at the same time connect to the soul of the man, which in essence itself carries the hydrogen and the carbon-14 connection, which the hydrogen connects it to the, what we call the creator line of creation, and the carbon-14 connects it to the universal, where the soul of the creator is accommodated, lives within. Then we understand there is no room for theology, because now is what I call factology. We got the facts, we know, we understand the principle of the creation. The biggest problem is how long, decades, centuries, or in one instance, man become enlightened to the knowledge, to the understanding of the process of the creation. And now, as I said, step by step, we open the dimension of the connection to the cosmic ray, cosmic world. And then you understand, if you bring in that dimension of what we call carbon-60, the carbon-360, and the rest of it, then you understand the body of the man is that diamond structure, created by the interaction of the fields of the carbons. One connects to the physical dimension of the body of the man, and one connects to the physical dimension of the universe. And this is why when you look at your skin, you see that diamond structure on the skin. You see those hexagonal, you see those pentagons, you see those every shape, which allows different fields from the universe to be absorbed into the middle layer of the body of the man. The middle layer of the man is the separation, connection between the outside world and the inner layer with the inside world. And this is why we see so much problem with psychosomatic situations, where that middle layer gets touched. Solid state created in the dimension of the emotion, which gives you cirrhosis, it gives you skin irritation, it gives you conditions, and then if you go further, it goes into your lungs, creates you cancer, and everything else. Now you understand, the process of the creation of the man is not the dimension of physicality of this planet. The man at the point of birth is connected to universe. It's just he has denied it himself. Just because the what you call pheasant put his head under the snow and he's got his tail back, he thinks I don't see, everything else doesn't exist because I'm under the snow, does not work. We've done that for thousands of years. We've done that for millions of years. Now we understand. And it's our job to use the emotion to feed, to elevate the soul of the man, that man becomes a star at the point of the separation when it takes off to become that star, the seed, through the line of communication of carbon-14 to connect to the universal community. In this process, we learn a lot. In this process, we understand a lot. In this process, even our scientists in laboratories are setting up the system to match the soul of the man. This is what I said, by coming up in the June session and thereon, we connect you directly to the soul of the universe. We have replicated it. We have the knowledge to do it. We have the understanding to achieve it, and it's been achieved. Where we create the condition for everything else which connects man to the universe, connects man to the soul of its creator, is in the hand of the man to tap into. You killed to find energy to elevate your soul. Now you can tap into these systems that they give you that energy. You don't need to kill it. You don't need to kill for. And then you understand, once you trigger this energy level, magnetic field, plasmatic fields in the dimension of plasma within you, you can transmute anywhere. In upcoming international conferences, we bring this one forth. In China, in Sanya, we brought a room in the process of the what we call the conferences in Tehran and Washington and Iran and United States. Will bring that energy, that the fields can be felt. You can feel the emotion once you enter the room, which brings you to be part of. I wonder how many of those who will attend Iran conference, Washington conference, will stop coming into the room because they know exactly where they stand and what they need to change to bring themselves into that point. As I said many years ago, many world leaders will not walk into these systems because the soul knows there's too much wrongdoing. Then we know who will stay to be on this and who has been elevated to go on to the next. The whole process of the creation is very simple. Man has not understood the whole process, so he has created many things, whole sciences, theology, and everything else to go with it, to cover his ignorance, to cover his lack of knowledge. And then those who understood your ignorance have used it to their benefit. As we said before, last week, with the incident which happened in Iran, many people, it's easy to say it was a cloud. And it disappeared in a cloud. But the reaction was different. In Iran, we show how the cloud was created and how it was used. And how you do. Then it comes to the soul of those who created the condition of the murder. Those souls will are connected to the suffering of the children of those who have been the victim. And then you understand how life will change for them. It's the same with those who create wars. We all are connected through that nitrogen, through the dimension of the carbon-14, to the storage of nitrogen to find balance. Then you understand how things work. There is no Den Hague Court of Justice. The balance of the fields is the Den Hague of man. There is no court for the souls. And through the interaction, the way you put the magnet on the table and you see how it finds the position, according to the strength they absorbed, it finds its position. The weaker you are, the further out you stand to the center. The less you have, the less connection you have. And in a way, that is a point of suffering, emotion of the soul, to understand where it sits. If you think you suffer with today's physical condition, if they don't let you somewhere or they isolate you, the isolation and what I call distance from the source in the dimension of the soul is more torturous than the physical pain of the man today. Then you understand how even the amino acid was created. Define the connection between the what we call universal energy and the physical dimension of the local energy, what we call the Earth gravitational magnetic field. You cannot create amino acid on the surface of the moon. Impossibilities. In the open span of it, not in laboratories. You cannot create the amino acid of the man on Mars and anywhere else. The field for it does not exist. Then you understand. Life of the man, the structure of the physicality of the man is unique to this planet. And it has found a way to feed itself both through the physical dimension of this planet and feed itself at a higher order and lower order through the universal. Because it lives in both dimensions. It'll travel through to become, after it leaves the physicality behind. The only thing we are teaching you, the only thing you should be making aware of is through emotion, you can control this dimension of physicality, that it does not need to come to the point of total separation. You can understand the emotion of the physicality, how it's connected to the emotion of the soul, and create that transmutation for yourself and manifest in another dimension. To you, in the eye of you see yourself in the body of the man maybe, but you see the others in different shape, because that's the dictation, what is dictated by the environment of the place and the position. You're not dreaming. You actually live both in the dimension of physical life on this planet, and the soul lives its life through dimension of the energies of the universe. And then you understand why when we create that condition in the systems and you use the headphones, you call it dreaming. I went there, I did that. You actually did, but in the dimension of the energy of the soul, not on the dimension of physicality. And when you learn to balance these two emotions between the two half side of the brain of the man, the physical condition, and the soul of the man, then you can transmute, you can transfer. A number of knowledge seekers in the past weeks testing have achieved that. And they're gradually processing to do it without, because now they are connected to the system continuously and they can connect and move. In the coming time, in the next session of the June, we try to bring you to a full transmutation for those who are ready for it to do. We asked a number of you to start testing, and you're testing every day. And you say you're getting better at it and you understand more. But even those of you who are in that process, you have to understand, you have to bring the emotion of the physicality in control and subordination of the emotion of the soul. And then if you trouble with your partner, if you trouble with your children, you have to understand that balance has to exist in all four hemispheres of the brain of the partners. This is what we call Trinity. This is what we call the twin lovers. And if you achieve that, you can go 1,000 of you together in one place, because we are all what you call greenies. So we believe in this, so we have one common denominator, physical interest to keep this planet clean, and we become greenies. Now you have to find one common denominator in the strength of the soul. We are a peaceful people. We want to be the ambassadors of the peace in the universe. And because you are truthful, there cannot be no lie, because it's not a lie, it's a feeling strength. If it's not there, you cannot create it in your soul. Then you come to travel as a groups with the same understanding. You cannot lie. This is what the knowledge seekers I keep on teaching you, I keep on explaining to you. In the dimension of the soul, there is no lie, because if the field doesn't exist, you cannot connect to it, because you haven't nourished it. You haven't brought the emotional field strength to share with your, what we call the nitrogen, and to gather the strength of the fields of peace in you. I'm a peaceful man, but underneath I damage and kill as much as possible. It doesn't work, because you haven't stored it in the nitrogen bank of the both physicality and universal link within your soul. Now you understand how every link with your soul of physicality connects you to your soul, which is connected both to the hydrogen and to what we call carbon-14. In the world of physicality, you need the air, you need the water to maintain the physicality. In the world of dimension of the creation and universal dimension, you need the connection to the soul of the creator through hydrogen, and the soul of the physicality of the universe, communication line of it through carbon-14. It's the same process, there's no difference. We try to push the understanding of the process of the creation, the connection between it, because we are heading towards transmutation. The knowledge, the technology, the systems are gathering very rapidly to bring that process, to bring that change, to bring a new dimension in science and technology. This, what happens in our body, as I said many times before, fusion with the present technology is a dream which could not come true. But if you do fusion in a dimension of the fields, is happening in your body in every second. You add, you fuse energies, you make calcium. You add, you fuse energy from the same energy, you make iron. How difficult it is to create fusion. It happens in your body billions of times every second. A man still works in the dimension of what we see. Billions of dollars, magnetic fields which don't work in the matter state, and they want to create a condition in the physical state. Does not work. So the knowledge is all connected to each other. And now we understand, in one side we are connected to the dimension of physicality through carbon-12 and through our liver, and we dimension of the nitrogen, we are connected to the universal energy lines we call cosmic rays through carbon-14 to the same liver. This is how, as I always said, the food we eat is 20%, is the seed for attracting energy to the dimension of the nitrogen, which converts to become the energy of the physicality, or converts to become the line of communication and the source of energy for the soul through carbon-14. Anywhere in the universe, you find life which has emotion. You find life which has motion. You find, in one way or another, in combination of the fields of its environment, that feel the strength which is a bank connection to the dimension of the field of the environment and connection to the field of the universe. Life cannot exist on a pattern of the physical energy of the environment. It's impossibilities. It's not sufficient enough. You have to eat a mountain every day, possibly, to be able to keep one cell going, one life going. Without the connection of the universal energy system bank, which we call on this planet to be at the level of carbon-14, which is at the level of nitrogen, because it's available on this planet to create life. This is why when you even measure the environmental gases, the air you breathe is 60-65% nitrogen. It's only 15-16% oxygen. And man has not ever understood. Oh, you breathe oxygen. Yes, you breathe oxygen, which you never understood, but you breathe that nitrogen, which continuously connects you to the environment of the earth and the environment of the universe at the same time. Without bringing that 65% nitrogen, you cannot exist. Man never understood the science of creation and stuck itself to the oxygen. Because it's only connected to the dimension of physicality of the mind. When you go to sleep, that balance between the rate of breathing, oxygen level, field strength, come to match, be near enough to the isotope fields of the nitrogen, and then you connect to universal community. That's why you go to sleep and you dream. You don't dream. You bring the level of the fields of the what we call the two together to the dimension of physical life on this planet and universe, and then you connect. Now you understand why even you dream. What's the process of dreaming? Now it should be clear for most of you how to go to that field of transmutation. When you're going to do this test, not only control your mind, control your breathing, that you bring the energy of the physical life and the universal life energy lines near each other. Then you can transmute. Then it's instantaneous. Why we see number of the knowledge seekers who join us in these sessions when they're asleep and they say, I went there because you're already there. We just create the fields for you to do whatever you like. This is why in these sessions, we switch your microphones off and we leave our system on, because we are feeding you that energy which you are short, to find that elevation, to find that connection between the oxygen and what we call nitrogen. Connection to this planet and connection to the universal community, universal fields, what we call cosmic rays. Next time, you people, join us in these sessions. Not only try to think, try to control your breathing, then you bring the physical dimension in line with what we call universal line, and see how fast you travel the span of the universe. And then you find out it's not a dream. Then it goes back to all the teaching. How many times in other teachings I've explained, you control the rhythm of your breathing. You control what you take. You don't need food. I've given the example of that, what we call guru who came to the Sansano. And I told him, I know your trick. Now you know the trick. When you control the field connections through the oxygen to your lung, you bring the universal energies to feed you. Through the nitrogen of the amino acid, and connection through the carbon-14 connection to the soul of the man. Then you understand there is no end to life. There's no day of judgment. You judge yourself. And when you come to that point, you find you have to have what we call pure heart, which means the physicality does not carry no stings of killing, destruction, division, and the rest. Then you understand it's you who decides when you connect to the soul through the emotion, or you're still connected to the emotion of physicality. Today's session, today's teaching must be a what we call breath of fresh air for those of you who were trying to find out how you travel, how you can transmute, and how you need to understand this process. I have given you the golden key to live in both dimensions of physicality and the universal community. It's you who has decided. I change my breathing, I stay in the physical dimension. I change my breathing, I bring the physical dimension close to the energy of the what we call universal link with the carbon-14 through nitrogen, and I travel the span of the universe, and then through emotion I control everything. Now you understand how simple life is in the universe. Is man who has not understood it, has made it so difficult for himself, and he allowed the abuses of the physicality and what we call science of the creation, which this does not need much, is understanding the fact. And then when you travel the span of the universe, when you travel within the structure of this planet, understanding how you change the what we call the control of the emotion and the dimension of connection through breathing on this planet, which actually you control the nitrogen level, not the oxygen level, then you can control, you can learn the language instantaneously. You speak Chinese the minute you land, you go to France, you're a French, and the rest of it. The emotion of the love, the emotion of the belonging to the position brings you that. And if you understand this in a deeper way, you understand you need the essence of the fields of the universe even to create yourself a cancer. And then you understand what we call it psychosomatic, because the field of the universal energies and the field of the matter state of this planet, inertia and its gravitational field don't match through the emotion. And the start, the seed of the cancer. Illnesses, emotional disruptions, and the rest of it. Now, it should be clear for most of you as knowledge seekers in how to connect, how to be, and those of you who are practicing to start transmutation, where you could not link up. Change your breathing pattern. And with that, change your emotion. And then you can transmute. Same time, you can have a cancer this second and no cancers the next second. You can be Alzheimer's this minute and no Alzheimer's next, because you use the energy of the universal fields through cosmic rays, through the nitrogen of the body of the man, through the emotion which is connected to that field, to change, to repair, to balance, to dust what we call the energy field blockages in the universal community of the body of the man. I hope you knowledge seekers who are in that process understand. Don't sit and think. Control the physicality through breathing. That you have to bring the energy level of the nitrogen you take from the environment in balance with the nitrogen carbon-14 of the universe, and you transmute instantaneously. And because you're still in the dimension of the emotion, you decide. We go next door. I go to the garden, you join me. I go to the other planet, you join me. I go to another planet, I come back. Because I still have the anchor of the field energy of the nitrogen of this planet. The amino acid level is my anchorage. Try to understand. Then there is no theology. And then in the same process, if you manage to go through the nitrogen, and at the same time using the same process as the hydrogen of the amino acid and find the matching strength in it, you can connect to the solar creator. Now you know the secret of reaching your own creator on your own. Needs no intermediary. Because the hydrogen in the amino acid of the body of the man, in the magnetic field cosmic structure of the body of the man, is the same in essence, in strength, in part, the same as the soul, the same as the creator. This is how some souls not even need the birth to reach the creator and never take dimension of physicality of the life on this planet. This is why I've been teaching you creating the children of the soul that do not get involved with the dimension of the physicality, because they can communicate, commute directly through the both dimensions. As I said many times, now you might understand, in the sexual interaction of the man in 2 dimensions of the egg and the sperm, we lead to the creation of the soul, that soul then in interaction with the energy created, received by universal lines of connections, create the physicality of the man in interaction with the physical dimension of the womb of the mother, which gives it the shape and the color and the ancestral shape of the man when he's born. And then when it comes out, while it's in, with the interaction of the field of the environment of the earth, gives the man the 2 legs, the 2 arms. The shape of the physical shape of the child comes from the fields of the emotion of the mother and the field of the father, which came through the other. And then you create that dimension of physicality. The soul of the children of the man, when they are created through the soul, will be totally different. And they look to you the way you want it, and they look to another one the way they want it. And they can transmute very easy, because they are created from the soul energies of the universe first, then the dimension of the fields of the planetary system through amino acid. Now you understand a lot of mysteries which could not be explained. It will take the scientists of the man hundreds of years even to understand the teaching of today, if they ever understand. And some of your knowledge seekers understood and reached the position to meet with your creator at your own will. Does not need no profit. And that's what I said. Keshe Foundation is not religious. It's a scientific, which shows you the science of the creation. How you decide to connect, to whom, to your lover, to your creator, to your dog, to another system, to another position in the universe. As Muhammad said, bless his name. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We have given you the whole gift, the barakat of the life of the creator to you. Is your ignorance which bars you from to reach the understanding of the totality. We go through a break, we come back, and I hope some of you have been enlightened to reach the position and dimension and understand what you breathe. You need that nitrogen, not oxygen. And if you gather enough of it, you connect to the field of the carbon-14 of the universe, and through your soul, you become travelers. And now how man travels through transmutation. Rick, you can take us through, Rick.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe. We'll have a short break now and be back with the second half. And in the second half, people here in the Zoom will have an opportunity to ask questions of Mr. Keshe. And if you put up your virtual hand as an attendee, then we can allow your microphone to open. In the YouTube, people can post a question in the chat there. Just type it in if you wish. And yeah, we'll be back in a few minutes.
The revolutionary new Flight Enhancement Spaceship unit is due to be launched in June 2022, and in the same year is expected to fly passengers into space, to the moon and beyond for a day or even several days at a time. There is no need for the Flight Enhancement Spaceship unit to carry food or medicine, as it is equipped with the latest space technology for transportation, transmutation and deep space operation. This extraordinary breakthrough technology ushers in a new era of travel without the need of fuel, food, or medicine, even during the longest excursions into deep space. Each spaceship unit has a 4-passenger capacity for long or short duration flights and has the capability to travel between cities on Earth in a matter of seconds to minutes, depending on the distance and speed. This ability to traverse massive distance in such incredibly short time is not just a breakthrough for human transport, it also completely revolutionizes the transportation of goods and cargo and will rapidly overcome the need for one of our most polluting practices, namely marine shipping, as it finally breaks us free not only from the combustion of heavy diesel, but from the combustion of any fuel for propulsion in the future. The Flight Enhancement Spaceship Unit, a new paradigm in space travel, space medicine, and space technology.
Water is the foundation of our life. It is part of every living creature. Pure water gives you the energy of nature. Now you can have this energy in your home. The Keshe Foundation Alkalizer and Energizer is designed for your daily well-being. It increases the pH of the water so your body can absorb more oxygen and stay in its natural condition during the day. Keshe Foundation Alkalizer and Energizer. Be pure like the water.
Okay, we're back again at the 540th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, May 30th, 2024. Generally, Mr. Keshe has something to say before we begin the questions. Is that true, Mr. Keshe? If you like to
Yes.
bring up some
We
things.
never change our pattern, do we? Yes, there are a number of announcements to be made. As we promised you about the Iran conference, as we have to declare to the Iranian officials, as we had the same thing with China, who is coming and what and start the program planning. If you go on the Keshe Foundation website, Keshe Foundation website as of yesterday has released the preliminary date of the conference in Isfahan as the 16th of November in Iran. If you go on the website, it's there. We will close this in a very short time because we have to give the names, people who come, how many, whatever, to the what we call the officials for receiving the certification and license to go. And this will follow with the conference in Washington in 2025. In the Tehran conference, those of you who come from out of Iran, we meet all in Vienna. And we are planning, and the process has already started, in flying to Isfahan direct, bypassing Tehran. There are two ways we can do. One is by chartering a plane or using Turkish Airlines through Istanbul to Esfahan. From the point of Vienna to Esfahan and return back to Vienna, we allowed 14 days, which means the session starts on the 16th, finishes 17, 18, 19, and then it's a 5 days. By Wednesday, we finish Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, because Thursday, Friday is a Iranian weekend holidays. So we leave Vienna around about 14th, 15th, we start 16th, and return back to Vienna will be on the 28th. This is the responsibility we accept, and we collaborate with Iran Foreign Office and the military and everything else to get this smoothly done. So when you register, we have put this date of 16th October preliminary to be, we stick to it unless something changes. And we all meet in Vienna. And from Vienna, we go to Iran, to Isfahan. After the, what we call 5 days session, we leave a week for you to visit the historical parts of Iran. You want to stay in Isfahan, you want to go to Shiraz, maybe you want to travel to beautiful places of Iran. And we come back all to Isfahan, same day, same flight, we all depart. This way we can control from our security-wise and everything else. All the expenses of flight and the stay for the session of till Wednesday or Thursday is covered through this, what we call donation. If you decide to stay in Isfahan for the rest of the time or travel to near the city of Shiraz, which is the most of the beautiful part of, historical part of Iran is, then you're free. It has to be said, those of you who come, please go to your embassies, get your visas. Don't run into problem which most of you ran before. You can apply it online and get it, and everything else can be done. We will organize with the Iranian officials that the process of the lift and motion, what we call space program, will be shown in conjunction with the Iranian officials. We'll invite dignitaries from around the world. It will be the first time such a technology is shown. They will be present, like, as we said, with China, people from Iran, scientific, government, and others present in this session. So understand the dress code. Ladies who don't have to be worried, as long as you carry a scarf, you cover your head in a decent way, there is no problem. There is no restriction unless you break the code, which is what I call unacceptable conduct. We try to make it, and the place for the conference has already been decided, is in one of the most beautiful, what we call hotels in Iran, in Isfahan, in a 5-star hotel, 4-star hotel. And the session of the flight and the demonstration of the flight and the rest will be done in conjunction with the Iran government and outside the premises. So you'll be taken most probably to a position destination where dignitaries and you as knowledge seekers will be there to see for the first time in public the process of the lift and motion by using what we call plasma technology. No more burning of the fuel, no magnet running around. And at the same time, we know many governments are processing this system, trying to achieve that point as a gift from the Iranian nation. We share knowledge. You don't need to guess anymore if UFOs are, do. You will be part of that system. You will see it as a progressive development of the knowledge of humanity. We have a few more surprises for you in that demonstration. Surprises which changes the world of science. surprises in the way of next step in science and technology. Will change the whole course of humanity. This we need to arrange with the Iranian officials in that to what extent Keshe Foundation can. And as we said, we bring the technology from the Keshe Foundation in to Iran, and as we did with China, we take it out of Iran. If the Iranian officials would like to add, to share additional technologies which they have achieved through the same process, it's their decision. We invite world leaders, military of every command, to be in Tehran for that demonstration. That has to be arranged through the channels of diplomacy and military. That's nothing to do with the Keshe Foundation. But as we said, we share the knowledge with you and with the governments. And this time you're both there to be witness to change and evolution of the science and technology. We might show you the flying car that you will see the end to the fossil fuel, to the abuses. The flying car you think we created for changing the structure on this planet? No. The, what do you call a flying car? A miniature version of your spaceship is for a space development. You need to move along the surface of a planet. Sorry, there are no roads, there's dust and everything else. You hover over. We tune to the gravitational magnetic field of the planet and distance gap. So when we show the new, what we call plasma cars, is not to change the car industry on this planet. It's to show the new method than traveling and exploring the space. At the same time, we will show new technologies in Iran. And if we extend to it, as you've seen the Keshe Foundation conferences, those of you who attended in the past, there is no speaker, there is no speech. You're part of the technology. You're involved in every second of the discussion and the technology. Please book and complete with your full name, details given to us. We need a passport number. We need everything else. When you book on your link, you send a message to the Keshe Foundation. This is my reservation booking number, and these are my details: passport, nationality, and everything else which is needed for Iranian security to check, background check on you, which is normal. We did that with the, what do you call it, with the Chinese too. It's not something just to Iranian. Certain governments want to know who comes in and the reason they come in. We have put the price for Iran conference at 7,500 for knowledge seekers. The corporate rate is at 20,000. And we will separate the two. We know who comes and what they come and the way they come. What we call, you cannot transfer it to somebody else, because we know the space is very limited for Iran, and people might think, oh, I buy it cheap and maybe I sell it later. It's the first time we ever show, man ever sees clearly, openly, what we call plasma left and motion. So there will be a lot of people interested. It's not somebody to buy. Who pays, makes the donation, has to be there. You cannot transfer it to your son or somebody is my cousin. Iran security will not allow us to do it. So you have to understand, 2024 is what we promised. We try to keep, and everything goes okay. We travel together to Iran, and we leave together Iran. And knowledge seekers have to understand, please follow the rules of the Keshe Foundation. Think good, do good, and act good. That will bring you a new dimension. You will feel the beauty of the hospitality of Iran, the Iranian nation. At the same time, if time permits and situation changes, we invite all the scientists from all the nations to understand, to be there. That is a gift to humanity. It's a gift what we brought the knowledge for. And most probably part of the transmutation control through mind of the spacecraft will be demonstrated on and be completed for completion in the United States. You have to understand, the technology has reached the point of the delivery, and if this time we don't have the same problem as we had in Hanover, we already asked the Iranian authorities to issue us the license of flight before we arrive. The permission to be able to deliver and to show that there are no restrictions. In a way, we keep to our promise, and hopefully if everything goes smoothly and nothing changes, we all meet on the 16th of November in the beautiful city of Isfahan, where my ancestors come from. And hopefully we'll be able to see the knowledge of man, progressive development to the next step. And I'm sure, will show you more things to see. The hall, the hotel, is a place of the presentation in a scientific way, and a place to be appointed by the Iranian government and military will be where we will show the physical structure. And I hope you all enjoy to join us. And we have to close the reservation in a way that we have enough time to give all the details to the Iranian government for through Foreign Office, allowing which country you come from, to inform the embassy to issue your visas and the rest of it. I think we all been waiting for this, and hopefully we can complete it. And as I said, there's much more to see, to learn in the Tehran conference. And I'm sure the Washington conference brings humanity together in a different way. The other announcement we have is that those of you who are organizing these teachings, be very careful who is organizing it and who's attending it, as apparently the Italian community has faced a huge problem in trying, knowledge seekers trying to teach for their system has been abused by others, and if it infiltrated by different organizations for that purpose. If there are any questions, we answer and we go forward.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe. There's a number of questions, of course. See, where do we begin? We did have some knowledge seekers with hands up previous. Their hands are not up at this point. However, maybe it's related to the question in the Q&A. First, we should clear, there's let's see, we have Bose Michael in the Q&A who's impatient about the head units and is wondering when they're being shipped. Says he doesn't have even the first part yet, let alone the second. Pardon me?
The cosmic bundles.
I'm assuming that.
I think about a bunch will be shipped this week, next week, because already there is a problem we have with development at the same time as delivery. The new systems always gets updated, but we should complete this by hopefully June, July. We should be completely done. If you haven't, I know a few people received this week some of the head units, And some people, I heard that this week they're collecting it, and it's in the process. As it comes, by what we call it, who came first gets served first. So I think about 10 or 15 units will leave in June, maybe more, to complete more of. These are very laborious system to make. We think we have found a solution for those who you bought the material, that it can be, what do you call it, can be delivered starting once we do the test this week completed. We think we have found a solution for your cosmic materials to be shipped as well. It's not easy, but it's all been done. The cosmic bundles are all getting, literally, there are people, that's the only thing they do in Keshe Foundation Laboratory, just making these cosmic bundles. They don't do anything else. And every time I go there, they're sitting there busy with making it. It just takes time. And I know some went out this week, and I know some is getting collected this week from somewhere else. So it's going on how, who will come first. Your turn comes, you get it, you deliver it. But you have to remember, or I shouldn't say I pinch some of these units. Maybe, let's say, there is 10 units to go out this week. I pinch 1 or 2 of them or 3 of them for research. So it goes back delaying some 3 people to be later time. And I've pinched quite a few numbers of these in the past 2 or 3 months for development. I think it must be about 6, 7, 8 of them. So this should have gone to the knowledge seekers, but for research, I pick up, or demonstration to what we call governments and others. We pick up the latest one. We don't leave the ones we had before, because the latest one carries more. So every month 2 or 3 disappears in my hand. And I do apologize for that, but it's part of the research. But more or less, we have people continuously just producing cosmic bundles, and as the order is a lot, they're getting delivered according to as they're ready and when they're ready.
So is that the cosmic ray material that you're speaking of?
Both of them.
Mm-hmm.
Materials
okay.
we produce.
There was a question about that from Lomberger. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, we have plenty of materials. Actually, I pinched some of it this week again for research, but we couldn't, house it. The housing was a problem, and I think our people have found the materials arrived in past couple of days to create that housing. And once it's done, it will go out, because you got to understand this is a very delicate material, and we had to secure it correct way. And now we think we found it in a resin, which we found the resins, they had bubbles in it, but now they have found the material which is clear, and when you receive it, it's no field distribution, what we call disturbances. Because these things create fields, so it has to be clear in what they call it, emit, and you can use it. We have the material, as I said, I pinched some of it today, but we produce between 5 and 10 grams a week. And a lot of you suddenly, once this housing is completed, we're hoping this is the final solution, we will send them out very rapidly. This energy disintegrates the housing. This is the problem with this system. If it's not done the right way, in due course of time, the interaction of the fields inside can disturb the fields around it. So it's not a simple material to carry. Any other question?
Okay, thank you. We have a hand up here with Miranez. Let's hear from her. Go ahead, Miranez.
Hello. Good morning, Mr. Keshe, Enrique, and everybody else. Thank you for these teachings. Mr. Keshe, you told us that this is the update of the information, the whole universe. So you talk about nitrogen. I think nitrogen is because of the specificity of the planet Earth, right?
In
If
a
I
way,
go
yes.
to the
In a
moon,
way, yes.
in every way. So I wanted to know, how far do we remember of these teachings when we don't have this physicality anymore?
It's ingrained in the
Whatever.
soul of the man as an information, as a field information. The same as you will carry the rest of the knowledge of the universe. When you arrive, you have it. Nothing is missed. RNA keeps the recording of the man's life. DNA keeps the recording of the physicality of the man changes in life from the beginning, from the first man ever created. In the dimension of the soul is the same. Everything which is in the universe is within the soul of the man, because it's a universal, it's not the earth structure. You have to decide how to tap into it, how you create that emotion. So, in a way, you have the same RNA structure, recording of all the events of the universe, plus the knowledge we shared, and what is learned by everything else and every creatures in the universe you are connected to. You just need to tap into when you want to know it, through emotion.
Yes. So that
Yes.
So that Judgment Day is when the RNA will be revealed.
The judgment day is when you decide to judge yourself. Does not need to come at the end of a life.
Well, we do it every day almost.
Yeah, but it depends how, what, and the way we do it. And we judge ourselves. I'm going to be cruel today. I'm going to be lovely today. It's a nice day. I'm going to be happy. You judge that. So at the same time, you judge when today I'm going to be nasty. What is going to happen to myself? How much of it I'm going to lose? And this is what we decide on a daily basis.
In a way, that would be fun to have a judgment day for those who do wrong and we can do nothing about it.
We judge ourselves, other people judge us, and then we come to the point that we judge our own conduct and our own soul. It's the same all the time. And we decide on that judgment. And some people think they are above that judgment and they can get away with it because they can hide it. But if you're aware of it, how it affects you, you don't need to have education. Because you know the decision you make is going to bring changes with it. We do it in our personal life. We see it in the international arena. We see it then at the point of death, which means we haven't made the judgment. The judgment is made by us, by our soul, in the field it's absorbed. But we are aware, we are a witness to it, but we can't do anything because it's too late. And we all know how it is. I'm quite aware, always been aware of this. And I explained this before. I knew at a young age where that my destiny is, and I could not accept it. It was impossible to accept it. Because, as you say, I was green. I had no experience. But I knew how to break the code. I knew how to delay the process. And I did. Again, for the second time, 10 years later, it came the same, but I wasn't ready. I didn't have enough experience. And I knew how to break the code. I did. But the third time, I couldn't get away with it. And we know what is the consequence of our acts. We've seen this week in the international arena, in the past few days, how people we elected have judged us and judged the people who create mayhem for us, who the conduct is not correct through ICC. But the people think they can get away with it, but judgment day will come. And on the other hand, it comes to the point of death or physical separation. That point, our soul of physicality agrees with the soul of the man. It's a handover time. And it's too late to judge, because the judgment is made by us over the span of the life or the energy transfer. Each direction, each dimension connects to that. So we judge every day, every step of it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mehran, for all your support and help.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure.
Thank you very much. Any other question?
I have a question from Gerhard in the Q&A here. It says, hello, Mr. Keshe. During the last Friday's session, I returned a few times and I didn't know where I was anymore. It just remained a nice feeling. What can I do so that I don't lose the visual impressions so that I can pass them on to other knowledge seekers?
Well, a lot of you knowledge seekers who were in last week's session was set up deliberately to create a position of us, how to elevate your soul of physicality, how to elevate your soul, and then the last session was to bring the two together as the soul and the soul of physicality as one entity. We have a system which can do this. We built it up for doing this. If you were in a session of last week, at the beginning, you saw two of the lines were on. And then later on, two different numbers came on. But the first two were switched off. And then in the last session where you actually, all of you, those of you who were in that position, whatever, you saw all four lines were connected. We control the elevation of the soul, of physicality. We control the elevation of the soul of the man on its own. And then we bring in for the soul and the soul of physicality to work together as one entity, as part, because you are physically here and your soul is here, or central energy. And each one has given you different feeling, or different emotion, or different vision of whatever you decided. So in the June session is much more complex structure, which we directly target the elevation of the soul, in a way not elevation, but connection to the point of destination. And you control how to not necessarily ever manifest in physical dimension, but seeing yourself and seeing your environment around you in a dimension that your brain, physical dimension, translates it to a physical manifestation of a person, aliens, a cat, a furniture. You got to understand something which we never discussed before, but maybe it's time to bring it up. When you are connected to the dimension of the physical brain structure, you still see things. You hear things. When you move to understanding of the connection, transmutation through the soul, you feel things. And a feeling manifestation is different than feeling visual manifestation. Your soul does not have the eye of the man to see dimension of physicality. It sees the man in the dimension strength of his soul. Which feels are this guy is kind, this guy is giving, this guy is communicating, this guy is loving, and the rest. Feel its interaction. With physicality, because you have not learned to transmute, you still see things. The time when you feel things and you become emotion of the feeling, then is the time when you transmute. The emotion comes into it. And it's a very fine line. You won't remember anything, but you go through the whole cycle, because then you can always go back to memory. I want to go back where I was, and you see you go instantaneously there. We tried that even with those of you who came to Linz. We instantaneously transferred you, because it's in dimension of the fields. This is why we, in the visual units we came in, we controlled the fields. There were reactors hanging all over the place with you. In your home, you don't have this. So now we tell you in the June session to bring with you 4 headphones, 2 headphones with 4, what do you call it, what do you call it, ear attachments. Because we take you to connect you with soul and your emotion. And we set the system up that way. Don't come to the June session if you don't have 2 headphones connected. You can come in with 2 mobile phones. You can come in 1 mobile phone with a double split connection with a headphone and a speaker, because it has to have both microphone and an earphone that we can connect and disconnect. And you will see how transmutation become much easier. We teach you at the beginning of the session this month how to control your breathing, how to control your what you call emotion, and how to go to the phase of transmutation. And then July, August, September, those of you who join us will be continuous development towards the transmutation. It'll be interesting when we reach Iran, those of you who are in the sessions and join us in Iran, we don't need to open a door for you to go to a space environment of travel. You transmute yourself in. There are no doors, there are no gates, there are no hatches to get in. It'll be interesting how you manifest yourself inside. And these are part of the development which slowly has to be learned, that we take the fear and the magic out of it, become the reality of science. Nowhere in the universe there are doors, front doors, locks and intercoms. You walk through the energy understanding, you walk through the wall, because you know the transfer of energy was the use of the door. And you find out in the construction of the materials, which is actually, these are in patterns, it's not something new, you create what we call gaps in the structures that you can go through without change of physicality or needing to understand. You need to bring changes in. Any other question?
Okay, there's a few questions on YouTube. One from Andrew says, are the massive sunspots hitting the Earth trying to help the lunatics not start World War III by sending us good energy?
You can take it the way you like. Don't forget, the sun has a soul for its solar system, and he knows what to. We attract some of these fields because we create a condition for it.
Perhaps we'll have sunspot worshippers now instead of sun worshippers.
Oh, they'll find anything anywhere to do what they want to. Any excuse. Any other question?
Okay, from Iron's Scar in YouTube. Has Mr. Keshe ever heard of Walter Russell? And what do you think of his work on light, matter, and motion?
Not really. No.
Okay.
I might have heard, but I don't know about his job, but not really. I can't recall.
His work has come up recently with the table of elements in particular. He has a sort of a spiral or ascending and descending different way of describing the table of elements. Perhaps we can get into that at some point. Okay, let's carry on here with Off Script, who says, "Good day, Mr. Keshe. During transmutation, the Earth was in my awareness, but I got the impression the Earth stopped running. How does this relate to no time and space?"
As I always say, I wasn't there to see the whole lot, to explain. This is something you went through, and you find the answer and share it with us. Because you create a condition to be there. In a very last conference we had in Vienna before Corona, we had a knowledge seeker who came in and sat in the chair. The very first systems we showed in controlling fields, and he set out to stop the systems rotating, and he managed to do it. Everybody else sat there. He came in to show he can physically create conditions which can stop the system, and he did. There were knowledge seekers there watching him. We created the state of mind to be at the level of matter to interact with. And how we want to interact with. And it can be by choice, or it can be by accident, or it can be by creation of deliberate conditions. Any other question?
In the plasma group yesterday, we had some interaction, and Gail has a question that came up, and I think it's ongoing for many people actually, about the difference between a ray and a plasma. And are the rays plasmas themselves? And can a single ray create a plasma?
In a way, it does. A single ray of the creator created the plasma of the universe. Yes. If you go into the back of book number 3, it shows there are little splinters, and these splinters interact with each other. A plasmatic ray, travels in the media of the universe. And this media of the universe has always different strength of fields, because that's the interaction of fields keeps the structure of it. Doesn't matter how strong and how weak it is. And so, yes, start with a ray, interacting with the environment, you create a field, and interacting with the environment of the rays and the fields, you create a plasma. Because there's more of. And this is how we became to be part of the essence of the creation from the creator. It started with a ray. And interacting with the environment is like creating that little spark, which, you know, you as I say, when you put a knife on the grinder, one of these interacts with the other, interact with the other thing, and gradually create the field, and the field interaction with the environment and itself creates the plasma. And
now, sorry, go ahead.
That's on the size and the strength and the shape of the field.
So we were looking at that video that is a kind of an old classic now. So I figure it was almost 10 years old, on the plasma animation. And I'm wondering if we could play it through and you could comment whether it's accurate or not, as far as the magnetic rays turning into plasma and that kind of idea.
You see, what is missing from these rays to show they interact as they go, and those interactions interact. Now they interact with each other. In that process is not this clean straight line. There are bits interacting with other bits. This is a beautiful animation in the creation of the plasma the way it should be. But you have to show this is the ideal condition. But in fact, when you see those rays coming from the beginning, what you see here, the final interaction, many of those interactions happens in the path of from the start till this plasma is created, and they create their own plasma, their own interaction. It comes as a single ray, but it creates a field of itself, because now when these plasmas are created around it, they themselves interact energy from the environment of the other plasmas, and they create a field in the dimension of the creation of universe.
I had a modified version where after that star is formed, you can see it here just a second. Oops, that one. After the star is formed, or the plasma is formed, it that could be a proton or electron. It could be a star, sun. So then we have the other field coming in, and then
the field
forces between them. This is something I put together from the other ones, just sort of playing with it. And then we have the free plasma between those two entities, or three entities, or more entities.
When you show this image, it's very interesting. In the creation of the lift and motion in the space units, we don't have reactors. We create these fields, and what we call the space gap between them according to their fields makes one of them the feeder, and then the position. And the central field force of this collective interaction interacts with the field of the earth and creates dimension and direction. Very strange thing, or what you see, we have seen in some materials which is found on this planet. We find objects in different shapes or forms, which looks like could be human, could be spaceship, it could be material we do not understand where the shape comes from, whatever. Which actually has happened from people, from the lives who transferred or transported or traveled through Earth. When you have these two lights, as you show here, two plasmas, if coincidentally, accidentally, the field interaction between these two, or what we call the central field of the reactors, matches the inertia of the material, the strength of the planet, the whole craft instantaneously changes to a solid matter. Which means we can find, we most probably have found, but never understood, we have seen that certain objects which we find, the material is not from this planet because they just happen to create a field which matched one of the element fields of the Earth on the matter state, and they solidify. They manifest as a matter state. Could be with all the lives in it. We know this technology, we understand this, we saw it in the past few years. The same thing, change of the condition, the air we breathe, the nitrogen and the structure of the lung structure became equal to magnetic field of the plasma of the calcium, and we saw calcification in the lung, in the brain, we call it corona. Because it has a field strength of the calcium, so we saw calcification. This happens in the space travel. I'm sure in the future, many of those who travel in a space dimension, even those who travel in the dimension of the soul, will hit this balance fields, inertial matter state, and in the space and in the position, they tend to what you call solid state, let's say stone, ice, or whatever you might call it. So these are the things which in the future man will learn. In certain environments, what is the strength of the conversion that we don't touch it? I've seen a few examples of this on the, what do you call it, social media. And I laugh, I said people don't understand what they're looking at. But in fact, 99% is a life. It could be even our human life, where the soul of the physicality and the soul of the man touches at the strength, which is the inertia of the time, place, and the position. And we turn into a stone. It's happened. This is the process which happens. We create that. Feel the strength of that inertia of the matter, and because we do it, we achieve the strength we become. And if it was theoretically we couldn't, it was, we've seen it directly during the corona, how we saw calcification in the brain, in the lung, because the field strength of the environment was of the calcium, and so we saw calcification. This is how life starts in so many places. This is how even the egg and the sperm lead to creation of life in the womb of the mother. Because it doesn't, that womb is on its own, it's got its own magnetic field. And that magnetic field dictates, according to the way it's been structured through the memory of the RNA, creates to create condition of life for a child. And in that position, and the strength which it has allows solidification to the level of the calcium to become the bone, allows the calcification to become the skin, allows calcification to become the lung, the liver, and everything else, but in interaction with other fields, creating tissues. This is why we have calcium in every cell of the man. That's the solid seed base, which the field strength in different part dictates if you become a cell of the heart and liver or whatever, and where you become a bone. But now the environment of the mother womb dictates this. And then when we come out, because the mother has the same structure connection to the earth, we can carry on living on this planet and we don't die at the point of birth. Because partially is connected to the calcium, and then we carry the same bone structure when we are born. And we carry the same tissues as we are born, because it's preset, plus the emotion comes from the mother. The feel, the strength comes from the environment of the earth, which has dictated what womb of the mother can create. And then, if you understand this in a deeper way, we can even say how the feature of the man is, why we look like our mother, why we look like our father, what is the connection between our feature and our ancestors. Because that womb has created the field. DNA has nothing to do with it, of what life we create. RNA has nothing to do at that stage. It's the mother's womb with the field interaction of the father or the creator, and the society of what life has come through that body to be there, gives the feature of the child in the womb of the mother. If you take a womb of a Chinese woman out and bring a womb of a European woman and can transmute it or transfer it, and you make the woman to give birth, even with a Chinese father, you will see a different structure in the Chinese. You see the European shape in the birth of the child, even though the mother and the father are both Chinese. Because that womb has created a condition for life in the environment of the inertia of the Europe and the emotion of the environment. And it can carry with the field of the emotion of the womb itself. And we'll see this. Science will prove us correct, because we've seen it. We have seen this. They call it with the RNA, but there is no RNA. Now we go surrogacy through giving an egg to a woman. Now, if man develops the next stage and transfer the womb and the same egg and sperm of the Chinese, you get the European child. Because it dictated that way. It is field strength connection in manifestation. When you look at the birth of a child, conception of the child in the womb of the mother, it's a way of transmutation. We're transferring the energy of the emotion of the mother to the child through other factors which connects to the environment. Then we understand how we are created out of transmutation, and then we forget about it because it's part of the same. It's amazing. I'm sure many of you have been parents, and it's one of the biggest, beauties of the creation. A mother breastfeeds a child for 1 year, 2 years, and then she detaches, and she never comes back to it to ask for a breastfeed. And when you tell her at a young age that this is where you were feeding, you've been fed for something, they deny it because it's wiped out, it's not needed. No information needs to be carried. Till later on, when they're 5, 6, 7, then they see others and say, oh, this is how I was born. And children get to know this. We do the same. We deny our own existence of our own soul. It's the same as a child denies the breast which fed it. We're chosen this way, but we have to become aware and awaken to the truth of what it is. Any other question?
Thank you, Mr. Keshe. We have a couple of questions in the Q&A here. First from Sandro, says, he's part of the Italian group.
Yeah.
It says, lately, for most people who do One Cup, One Life, the GANs that forms is almost all light blue in color. Why? Has anything changed on the planet or in the air? Could these ganses be used as if they were a normal one cup, one life?
Yes, it's your emotion. You created. And secondly, we have become aware of the strength of the fields of the why these things were produced, and we don't see no need. So that transfers the energy because you're connected to it. You used it, or you're using it, or you're connected through the energy fields. Any other question? No more questions? Hi, Rick. Are you with us?
Oops, sorry, my microphone wasn't on. We have a question from Ed in the Q&A here. I think it's our last question, actually, Mr. Keshe. I was just trying to find some others, but I believe this so far is, oh, we have an attendee with a hand up, Jalal. So we'll have three more questions.
Do Ed's first, and then Jalal be a whole week job.
It might be associated. Ed says, can you elaborate on the breathing process for transmutation? Or did you say this would be taught later?
We tried to teach it on this month's session because a lot of you been through it. Because some of you, when you went through transmutation, you felt the emotion, the heartbeat change, the feeling was different. And now you have to understand how. And because we'll see this on our instrument when we do it, because this way you all harmonize to one. And it'll be much easier to go through the transmutation. And many of you will feel a full transmutation this time, I hope, because you have the both. It's time to move into that position. But don't forget, your soul does not breathe. So the breathing is just to match your physicality to the soul. But soul has a heartbeat, the same as a man. So you need to understand how you connect that to it as well. Okay, let's have Jalal and see what he's got to throw at us.
Okay, Jalal, you're up. Go ahead.
Thank you, Rick. Do you hear me okay?
Yes, God help humanity. Yes, carry on.
Sometimes you put a tears to our eyes, and a lot of times you put a smile to face. Hi, Mr. Keshe.
Hi.
Mr. Keshe, you prefer to what you said about the soul a long time ago in your teaching when you said you go to the cemetery and you look near where this people buried and look what kind of stones you will see in the neighborhood of this people, and then you will understand what kind of soul this man have in a way.
Yes.
Secondly, this is the only question I have. This is only.
Oh, that's strange. I had a occasion or a pleasure or opportunity to go to a cemetery in the past few weeks. I haven't been there for a long time. What was strange with the cemetery is that I saw a gap under the stone, the top stone, and all these stones had hinges that could be lifted. And I said, why is the gap? They put like a piece of a stone between the top stone and the frame of the grave. Oh, they said these are empty. People have bought it that when they die, they can bury it here so they can lift it and put them in there. And I thought, what a strange way. People buy the graves to be buried in, and this grave was originally owned by somebody else. They take it out or whatever, or they are there, they add to it. And it was very strange to see how the emotion of the graveyard has been, because we are used to, we go to a graveyard, maybe buried in the one or two, or husband and wives are buried with each other or whatever in the same plot. But I've never seen an empty grave board waiting for the bodies to be added to it in the middle of a very, very jammed cemetery. What do we see? Do we see in the soul the structure of the people who've been there before, or is about to come? We don't know how it's going to end up on the time of what they call their own soul judgment with themselves. And it's very strange you bringing this subject up, but in a way, usually is. We feel the emotion of the time and space of the soul of physicality and how it sees itself.
Maybe this kind of energies which created that kind of zones, what we call different kind of colors.
Possible. It's how we interact with it. But as I said, if you what do you call it, enter in this dimension of the graveyards, and how you feel and how you see. I attended a graveyard last year when I was in Manchester. I went to see the grave of my parents and my brother, and nearby there was one grave, maybe 20-30 meters away, maybe less or more. And this grave, I walked around the cemetery looking everywhere. This grave was the only grave with the white mushrooms. Little tiny white mushrooms covered the environment, the area of the grave, not to the next grave, just to this grave. And it shows what the soul carries underneath. I know whose grave was. It wasn't a stranger. And when I looked at it, understanding the essence of the mushrooms and everything else, I said, this befits. What's underneath brings this poison on top. It's a poisonous mushroom. And I walked maybe 300, 400, 500 graves. I looked everywhere. This is the only grave. And I know the person buried there. Extremely devious, extremely harmful. And even in their death, they create poison mushrooms. And that's the only grave. So it reflects what's on there. I was in a meeting when I was in China with Chinese officials, very high-ranking officials, in a discussion about agriculture in China and how scientists don't understand. They try to change the soil, or they try chemicals or biological to create condition of agriculture. But what they don't understand, and I've explained this before, is the simplicity of it, which is, in a way, when you look at the structure of I show it here because it's very interesting. Use some of your knowledge, because if you learn this, you understand what to do with it. Let me see if my pen works. Nope. No. No. Let me see if my finger works. Yes, it is. When you look at the landscape, you see, they tell you this land is alkaline and salty or acidic. And they do everything to change this. But in fact, what they don't realize, this alkaline created because of the layers below. These layers below, in interaction with the environment above, allow this, what we call, condition to be created. No salt, so much salt. And the interesting point is, we have this dilemma now in Mongolia. It's a very big project going on in Mongolia. Keshe Foundation was involved, as you know, years ago with this, is that here in Inner Mongolia, we have 30 centimeter of salt and alkaline, which they cannot grow. It's very hard to grow things on. And strangest thing is, immediately below 30, 40 centimeter is a sweet water. And I said to them, this will not change unless we cannot change this parameter underneath. This parameter underneath was created long ago, which is interaction with the above and other layers underneath allows the planet only to capture salt and calcium or calc. And if you understand this, you understand what can grow on top of it. So simply is, you put the wrong soil, very 30 centimeter, you get the mushroom on the top. Then the environment tells you what's buried underneath of it. So when we look at the graves, when we look at these structures and what's above it, collectively you see what soul is carried, what can be carried with. And what and how will change the environment above. In international agriculture, we're talking hectares, thousands of hectares of land, and they try to change this salinity. I explained to the officials, you need to change the environment above, because you cannot do anything. This is built and is part of the structure for billions of years. And you will see this land, even as salt, will cultivate the most sweetest fruits. And some of you who made gases, you already have seen this, but you don't realize it because you were too surface working. You see this principle in teaching of the Keshe Foundation. So this is your soul, instead of the weather on top. Let me change the color that you understand. This is your soul on the top. This is this soul on the bottom. And he sees it, he feels, he knows what he has to. It does not matter what terrain has been created, because the soul underneath does not change. And then you understand what graveyards are. You don't need to.
Yeah, speak to the window for the door to listen.
Pardon?
Speak to the window for the door to listen.
Yeah. But this is what it is, and that's how it is. And that's how it takes shape.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe. I have to go to work.
Oh, I'm just finishing job. I'm going to finish.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. If there's no other question, if you want to change, you can change your screen, Rick.
Okay.
If there are no more questions, we finished the session.
One quick question, perhaps from Achilles in the Q&A. He says in the paper which has been submitted to the Royal Astronomical Society of UK, Mr. Keshe mentioned that black holes should not be called a black hole. An appropriate name should be Zubin, which is an old Aryan name, means an arrow with two heads. My question is that does that mean the word Zubin, or does the word Zubin have any other meanings other than the name of arrow? Does it have the meaning of bringing new life? Thank you.
It depends how you interpret it. In the old understanding, the two were the sign of balance. And the two arrowhead created two different characteristics. And it has a different meaning. And amazing enough, people with this name, you see them, they have these characteristics with them. It's very strange how we choose our names. Very, very strange. But maybe the soul knows that's how it's going to be, so I give it this name that it matches. Thank you very much for today. Please, those of you who want to come to Iran, register as soon as we can with your details given to us by email separately, not on the, what do you call it, your information, your name, your full details, the place, which embassy you will ask for the visa. And most probably we ask for a copy of your passport in the due course, and everything else will be done, or we try to do that it makes the passage easy for you. And your point of takeoff and landing, as your part is Vienna. And we do the rest to take you into Iran and bring you back out. And we cover your first 8-9 days of stay. And I'm sure you're going to have one of the most beautiful time. Not only seeing the beautiful nation of Iran, but seeing the change in the world of science and technology. And that's what we promised and we deliver. Thank you very much, Rick. And see you next week.
Yes, and I hope I'm not late for that one. Thanks for holding everything together. And
it had to happen one day.
Yeah, it was a good practice round for I won't be here forever.
We're never here together. We just go as far as we can to share as much as we can. And as we've seen today, the new generation will take over and we'll carry on. Thank you very much, and see you next week.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you everyone for attending today's 540th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, May 30th, 2024. And our next public teaching workshop will be on well into June 4th. Tuesday, June 4th will be the One Planet, One Nation, One Race for Justice and World Peace. And that will start at the 4 p.m. Central European Time with members of the Universal Council, with the public invited to attend. Okay, again, thanks everyone for being here, and let's go out with our traditional flight enhancement spaceship unit music version, and we'll see you all in the next public teaching workshop. Bye for now.